What's up, guys? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Always the Hard Way. Today is a very special episode as our guest invited us backstage at the Osage Casino before she performed live on her new tour, Big Baby. She was very gracious with her time. She's super funny. She's an actress. She's a writer. She just had a 3D printed human. She's brilliant, man. Thank you so much. Please welcome Whitney Cummings.
You came across the video.
Oh, I came across your videos and I saw, honestly, you were talking about a toxic relationship, you were talking about addiction, and I could just feel your ethos through. And, for me, it's the more that I do, the more I, whatever it looks like, succeed, get older. I think that the more important it is to me to make sure that I'm always being of service.
Yeah.
And especially spreading any kind of awareness about addiction. I mean, here we are probably on some platform that we're all addicted to, you know what I mean? So it's like,
yeah,
it's like,
funny.
okay, it's like sober off drugs, alcohol, people, places, things, narcotics, gambling, sex, whatever it is. And here we are addicted to our phones. But if being addicted to this thing can help you identify another addiction in your life, I'm just here to serve.
Right. I appreciate that. And you heard it here first. This is basically a Make-A-Wish for my podcast. So thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me. What?
Nothing. So what?
Because I think that when I saw you talking about toxic relationships,
Yeah.
that is the thing that I think people are too afraid to talk about. I've been in SLA, love addiction recovery, for quite a while, in and out. My main program is ACA, adult children of alcoholics, but we tend to be attracted to people that need to be rescued. We conflate love and pity, But I find that when when warrior ass motherfuckers get sober off drugs, alcohol, whatever their substance of choice is, shopping, gambling, they get sober, and then the toxic relationship is the thing that gets them. That's the thing that's waiting for you on the other side of physical sobriety when you don't have that emotional sobriety yet. It's that internal drug cabinet. So, drugs, alcohol, that's the substance that's going to get you when you're trying to get your internal needs met with external things. But people, when you're recreating your childhood circumstance with a person, you're trying to fix them and save them, and your ego is telling you if you leave, you failed, and if I just change myself, this person's going to change. And that chemical high of adrenaline, it took me so long to realize ultimately I'm an adrenaline addict first. I don't care how I get it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whether it's beating myself up because I shouldn't have drank last night or whatever it was, or, the first thing they ask in my program when, you sponsor, not everyone, but my sponsor was, when you leave the house and you need to be somewhere at 4:30 and it takes a half an hour to get there, what time do you leave?
I like to leave an hour before.
Yeah, I respect that. See, you're emotionally sober. I was like, what do you mean? 3:30 to get there at 4? Yeah, half an hour. And that's not emotional sobriety because you're not living life on life's terms, but it's a way because you could have to go to the bathroom, you could run into someone, there could be traffic,
Right.
Fentanyl's in the water, the freeways are shut down right now, everywhere. And so I didn't realize that I was subconsciously look for adrenaline all the time. I was sober. I wasn't drinking. I wasn't smoking weed. I wasn't doing drugs. But I was like subconsciously trying to figure out how to get hits of adrenaline. If my day was just harmonious and calm, all of a sudden it's like, I got to see what my guy's ex is doing on Facebook. What are you do? Why are you doing this to yourself? And so that toxic relationships is a really tricky one because we're also so conditioned to believe that, we're literally taught that a pit in your stomach is butterflies.
Right.
Isn't that wild?
I never even thought about that.
we're so taught to believe, like our music, our movies, that like toxicity is like romance, it's passion, you know, we're soulmates. Like I grew up loving like Sid and Nancy and being like, oh, that, like I grew up around, an alcoholic home with very acrimonious, like fighting parents. I thought that was normal, but the hit you get when you're in a toxic relationship, I mean, that is like, that's a pretty serious drug.
Ooh, yeah. And I heard you say that before. Emotionally sober. I've never heard that. I've never heard that. And I've been thinking, and you may have said it on the Rainn Wilson show that you did, which was absolutely brilliant, by the way. I had no idea. The Soul Boom.
Thank you for saying that. I felt like I was bombing. Every time I leave a podcast, I go into an emotional spiral of like, you are so boring. Why weren't you funnier? Shut up. Like, I always have that like emotional hangover after a podcast.
I got to tell you, and this is 100% real. I talked to probably 5 different people after I watched that. I called them to say, you need to check out this podcast. It was so moving for my soul. I can't think of one podcast that I could name that was better than that one.
Oh, wow.
To be honest.
Oh, that makes
and I'm a fan of, I love Rogan and Theo and all the guys. I love them all. And you're in that circle, but that one, like you two together, that was so good.
Oh, thank you so much.
It was so good.
And I just try to just like channel whatever I learned, because I know for me, I was like, when I was younger, 18, 19, 20, whatever, like I was like, I don't come from money. I don't have a lot of opportunity. I don't have connections. I will do the work. Like, I just need someone to tell me what to do.
Well, you did it.
I can't afford a therapist. I can't afford, just tell me what to do. And if I try to say the things that if I had heard it when I was 20, it would have saved me 10 years. Like when I first went into 12-step programs and I heard certain things, if it's hysterical, it's historical. I was like, got it. Like I got it right away. And I was like, I don't need 10 therapists. I don't need, I just need to, okay, when I'm, getting emotional about something, like it doesn't necessarily mean it's the other person's fault. I got to remove myself because this is old. I got to, and so I come from sports. You come from sports.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, just tell me what I'm doing wrong. And if you just show me how to fix it, I
Very
can.
coachable.
Totally. That's it.
Yeah.
That's the best way to put it. I am teachable. I am coachable, but like, how am I going to learn? And then I did go to a couple therapists, and it was a lot of just talking. And I was like, I think I found myself manipulating therapists, lying to myself. I'm still not sure if when you lie to yourself, and tell
Manipulating
someone else.
therapists.
Oh yeah, because I was like, I wanted the therapist to like me, instead of actually being like, yeah, I did this thing. I'm cheating on my boyfriend. I don't know what to do. I don't want to be with this person anymore. I don't know. No, I didn't know. I didn't have any tools. And then when I was taught about 12-step programs, they're free. And you can just go, and there's all these people that are like making no money from this. They just hit a rock bottom, and they want to change the way that their brain is wired. And they got the wrong blueprint, and a bunch of people reparenting themselves. Just being like, yeah, what I'm doing is not working. I'm not good at solving these problems.
Yeah.
I have bad ideas when it comes to who to date. I picked the wrong people, For whatever reason, when someone else has a problem, I think it's my job to solve it.
Yeah.
That's kind of weird. That's pretty wild.
When she met me, I had a fresh DUI, no money. I was severely out of shape. I can't remember. The list goes on, but she was like, meow. You know what I mean? Like,
and you still like him now that he's together?
she pretty much fixed me. And I need to check her phone sometimes, but
You check her phone?
No, never once. Not once,
that's
ever.
Hot. It's sick. It's like, I know I'm sick. Like, I'm like, that's hot. He loves her.
If I check her phone,
yeah, I'm like, he loves her. He's like possessive of her. He gets jealous. That's hot. Like, that is my wiring, and I gotta watch it. Because here's the other thing is, I don't know if you've talked about this on your podcast, like there's certain primordial, like I made a movie about this called The Female Brain. It's like, it was what it was. I made it for no money, but I read a book called The Female Brain, and, I'm sure Huberman and the neuroscience people that are, actually know what they're talking about when it comes to this stuff. But I got fascinated by the way that we're wired in a primordial way, in a way that is just not advantageous to us today. So after I went into, 12-step programs and identified as a codependent, grew up in an alcoholic home, was using all of my survival mechanisms out in the world, being at war, and having all these weapons that I needed when I was a kid, but don't need them anymore, served me really well when I was younger, protected me, kept me safe, kept my parents, not violent, kept them from fighting, kept them from yelling at me, kept my mom from crying. And then you become an adult and you get into a relationship with someone, and all of a sudden you're doing it and you're caretaking, you're mothering, you're micromanaging, you're martyring, you're doing 90% in a relationship instead of 50-50. I was isolating. I used a lot of fantasy growing up to check out. So I would sort of fantasize about how a relationship was going instead of base it on what was actually happening. I was all about feelings and not facts. I mean, the list goes on and on. But for me, like it took me so long to like rewire the way my brain was, because I was like, okay, I'm in the program. I know I need to stop doing these certain behaviors and change it with these behaviors. But then I started learning about neuroscience and being like, hold on, we get dopamine from productivity and cooperation. Like
Right.
women, we are wired to be more hypervigilant. Like, men are not wired to read micro expressions on faces the way that we are. You're just not. And because to me, I was just like, how come this guy isn't reading my mind? Because it's so obvious that like I'm not fine. And he's like, all right, sick, bye. And I'm like, what? Like, and and to me, it took me reading that book and reading about neuroscience and going, okay, a lot of the things that we pathologize, and talked about this in a couple specials, a Comedy Central special called "I Love You," and then my HBO special called "I'm Your Girlfriend," I think, and about when a girl is like, who's texting you, it's 11, like that would have served her really well 2,000 years ago in the tribe. That is a hypervigilant, sensitive, super on point, super energized, like saw something out of the corner of her eye. Like that would be like, the number one protector in the tribe.
Throwing spears.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's a really valuable skill set, but like, a couple thousand years later, we have, security systems, we have locks on our doors, we have guns, we can protect ourselves, but we still have a lot of these sort of primordial reptile brain things that we do. When guys look at a girl's butt when they walk by, it's just like, you just have to. You have to. It's like you're not like, I love you, but after seeing her butt, I gotta go be with her. Like, you don't want to be with her. You're not in love. It's just your brain's way of going like fertile or not, fertile or not, fertile or not. It's just like how we're wired, And so I think for me, it also helped me to get a lot of compassion for myself and not over pathologize certain things and just go, oh, this is just how we're wired. Like addiction, like I like to think of addicts as sort of like the over evolved, humans, because we're the ones that like get more blue berries, more and more and more and more, But now it's like crack, that's
You've already killed 3 bears. How many more do you need?
Totally, but like the store, we know we were prepared. You know what I'm saying? Addicts were the ones that had their shit. We stowed it away. You know what I mean? No one knew where it was. We were prepared for years of starvation back in the day,
What is that you're carving over there on Helga's stone?
Yeah, we were the ones that had huts built because we were just like, I gotta build this thing,
What up, guys? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Always the Hard Way. I appreciate all the love. Make sure you tap in with us right here on Instagram, Micheal_Janae. Tap in with us right here, magic.mike.g. And I encourage you to send in some audio messages or video messages. I'd like to hear from you. We'll play them over the air. So you can send that to alwaysthehardwaypodcast@yahoo.com. Boom, right there. And I appreciate the love, man. Look forward to hearing from you.
We're in a lot of ways, like to me, addicts are always like the most sort of superpower people, and we're on our knees when have a substance that we're allergic to consuming our brains. But once we are able to sublimate that energy into something positive, always unstoppable.
I agree. If an addict truly does overcome their addiction, like you want to have that person at your table. Like if they've really healed and really done the work, you can't stop them.
That's right.
You can't fucking stop them.
That's it.
That's beautiful. So with the rewiring that you talked about, was it therapy and the 12 steps, all of the above?
Yeah, 12 steps. I go to ACA, Adult Children of Alcoholics meetings.
And I've never heard of that.
It's interesting. So AA also will do, like if I'm in a jam and I need a Zoom meeting, like I can hop on an AA meeting also. Like I've dabbled with substances and stuff during the pandemic, and ultimately it's just not my primary thing. But addiction sort of being about how we're getting external, using external things to get internal needs met. I've used people, places, things, fantasy, perfection, work, relationships, a little bit of isolating control, but like substances have never totally been my thing, because ultimately like my primary wound is embarrassment. Like that's my number one. They say comedians become comedians to control how we're embarrassed. And growing up in an alcoholic home, I was always the one that didn't have the permission slip signed. I had the wrong uniform. I didn't have the Halloween costume. I was always the kid in school that was like embarrassed. I was, didn't get dropped off at school in time because mom's hungover. I didn't get
going to school burnt. That story.
I never told that story before. That was kind of a trip. Yeah, I caught on fire. When you grow up in an alcoholic home, often you are a parentified child. Often you are, precocious, and you have to start taking care of yourself at a young age. At a young age, I saw my parents and I was like, you two are a fucking mess, dude. I'll take it from here. Thanks so much. So I was like, making my own lunches. I was,
At what age was that?
probably like, that was probably 6, maybe 5, 6, 7-ish. Yeah.
Fuck,
Yeah.
man.
It's okay. I mean, a lot of people go through this kind of stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I'm white, and so I just always feel the need to say that. I think we just have to remember that sometimes. It's still better than, still a walk in the park. But do you know what I'm saying? I just think white women need to chill a little bit right now. I mean, it's just like, white women need to fucking calm down. But so that all happened. Because I go like, oh, there was no heat in the house. And then I'm like, well, I had a house. So this is what the program does, is you, in every situation, find the gift, retrain your brain to not pity yourself, feel sorry for yourself, and let what happened to you in the past, completely like decide how you move forward in the future. We can all sit around all day. And I mean, there's a point where it's like, what are we, it's like, I see these men in their 40s, they're like, and my dad, I'm like, you're 40. It's your time to figure this. You have to fix this. You can't blame him anymore, because blaming also can be an addiction that we use so that we don't have to hold ourselves accountable. So looking back and going, okay, I'm going to do a blameless inventory. This is what I grew up in, an alcoholic home, because these people didn't have tools either.
Blameless inventory.
Blameless inventory. This is just what happened. No one picked me up from school. I don't have to be a victim. I don't have to be. Our parents. Let's just speak for mine, because I think we're the first generation having these conversations. We're this first generation.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was born in '82, which I think.
Same.
Yeah. Right.
Same.
So we're the same age.
Yeah. Well, with the lighting he has, he looks like he was born in like '92. I look like I was born in
Talk to me.
1902.
Talk to Oregon Trail. Come on, talk to
Oregon Trail.
You know what I'm talking about.
Dude, not it. I played Oregon Trail a couple days ago in Austin, and I was.
Did you get malaria?
I didn't get malaria, but I forgot it's racist. It's super racist. It was like the Indians gave you smallpox, and I'm like F2, 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 and I'm like, Jesus, this is a wild.
Is F2 is that a vaccine?
It was like. It's like slaughter 30 Indians to move forward. I was like, Jesus, guys, this is wild.
Oregon Trail was crazy.
We just played this game. Like, we just played this shit. It's like literally the Native Americans are all naked in like a loincloth. They're like red. They're like the color red. You're like, Jesus, guys. Insane. But ACA, adult children of alcoholics, basically means if your parents were alcoholics and, alcoholism, in order for alcoholism to be present, alcohol doesn't have to be present, right? So it could be any drug, it can be sex addiction, gambling, whatever it is, inconsistency, chaos. I grew up in chaos, basically, and both of my parents were addicted to things, mom drinking, my dad, I think women, and a lot of other things. And our parents had a lot of addictions. I mean, our parents like did the 3 martini lunch at work. Like drinking during the day was like, this is the 2 generations before that, kids worked in factories. I mean, we're the first generation that has a modicum of self-awareness.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Right.
Can I ask you this? When you were going through that, did it feel like chaos, or was it just you had rhythm amongst the chaos?
That's a great question, because I adapted very well, and this is exactly what it's about. It's about all of these, they call them character defects in program. I like to call them superpowers, because, we, on some level, I sometimes get in trouble for this, we do have a little bit of trauma privilege. When shit hits the fan, I'm always the person that can handle it, because, when you grow up in that kind of chaos, like you get very adaptable, you feel alive in a time of crisis, you're able to make decisions very quickly. The problem is, like, if you're in an office situation and someone's like, Lindsay got sent to HR, and you're like, oh, well, I'm going to go fight that. Like, you don't want to react in that situation. Do you know what I mean? Because sometimes you're too effective in chaos, but you misread what chaos actually means. And you try to come to the rescue, or you start having these maladaptive, reactions. And so sometimes what we learn is like, don't just do something, sit there. Like, don't react at all. Before you solve a problem, first make sure it's your problem, because I feel alive in a time of crisis. I'm the person in the dog park. When there's a dog fight, I'm the first one in, sticking my finger in dogs' buttholes, handling it.
Same.
And everyone else freezes, right?
What you said? Where? Stick them in the butthole?
Butthole.
No, that's not me. I'm not saying.
Not same.
Not saying. I want that to be known. That's not me.
Big dogs, if they're fighting, it's sometimes a quick way to get them to unlock their jaws.
Is that true? Mm-hmm. I have a Great Dane.
Oh, I have a half Great Dane.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. I have
And
a
a
Great
pit
Dane
bull.
pit bull. I have a Great Dane pit bull and a pit bull. Yeah.
Do you have a Great Dane pit bull mix? Mm-hmm. I need to see that.
He's the love of my life. He's the best.
I need to see that.
Danes
dog.
are the best. He's my angel.
Our Dane is Chicken Little. Sky is falling, scared,
Always.
terrified.
Oh, always. And then did you get the stomach surgery?
He has a megaesophagus. You ever heard of that shit? Mm-mm. They want us to sit him up in a high chair and feed him meatballs. It's he's fucking.
And you just hate money and followers, so you're not going to do it?
We should
Going
invest.
through all
We
this,
should-
microphones, cameras, talking, like, it's right there. It's right there.
That's probably.
Get your gorgeous girlfriend on OnlyFans, get your dog in a high chair, and let's get this
What are we
vacation
talking
house. I mean, like, cut the shit.
Get the Great Dane in a high chair. God
Jesus.
damn.
Okay,
Right?
so yeah, mine, I had to do the stomach stapling, you know?
Okay, yeah.
Because when you get a Great Dane, as soon as you get a Great Dane, people stop you on the street. They're like, you need to staple their stomach. And I'm like, what? Like, because their stomachs flip a lot of times. Yeah. When they eat too much or drink too much water or something. So yeah, so I got their, yeah. So I mean, just check to see because their stomachs aren't stapled, whatever.
Huh.
Not my problem.
Okay, yeah.
I'm like, literally, I'm like, before you solve a problem, make sure it's your problem. Okay, so your dog, I'm going to go and get him now. I'm on my way to your house.
Right.
You
I
know.
love the pit bull is my favorite breed of all
best.
time. Love them. Love them.
best.
That would be my dream if my family could just own a pit bull rescue and
Yeah,
just
that's
run it
cool.
and sell coffee.
A lot of stupid people have pit bulls. For everyone listening, going like, "How come every time there's an attack, it's a pit bull?" Because when a pit bull does make a mistake, it leaves damage. I think it's what is it? Those little spaniels and chihuahuas bite the most. They just don't actually do any damage.
Yeah, they're not doing
when
shit.
a pit bull does bite. Yeah. So a
Yeah.
lot of stupid people have pit bulls, but a lot of stupid people have Mustangs and stuff. You're like sports cars. That's what all the crashes are. Now it's just a lot of stupid people buy them.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, we can go right there. So I also heard you speak, you were fixing to talk to Rain about animal therapy in some form.
Yeah.
So you didn't get there, but what does that look like? What I'm sure you've done some work in there.
No, please. It really helped me because, as I said before, people were, sorry for using this word, like triggering to me. Like people, like I felt like I had to impress everyone at all times and be perfect and, mature and adult. So I would even go to a therapist and like try to impress them with like how smart I was and how self-aware I was. I wasn't going like, hey, here are all the feelings I was also so disconnected from my own feelings and shut down, growing up, like you said before, do you go with the flow? Like I just would shut down. I was just like, there's no room for my feelings. My mom has big feelings. My dad has big feelings. They were fighting, they were divorcing, they were breaking into each other's houses, just complete chaos all the time. A sibling had big feelings. So I was like, I just don't get to have them. And I got rewarded for that. I was needless, wantless, self-depriving. I would isolate and fantasize. I hope no one's pitting me as they listen to this because I go, well, now I get to do this for a living, So it used to be like I would check out I would, write interviews with myself and write stories and fantasize about being in another family. And now I'm a writer for a living too, So it's like,
Yeah.
I also like to focus on like trauma privilege, which is like sometimes if you work hard enough on healing this stuff and sublimating or, some of the maladaptive behaviors into something positive, you can be ahead of everybody else, So I hope that I'm not sounding like I'm, trying to for anyone to feel sorry for me. But okay, I just wanted to say that. What was the question? About how
Why do you fuck with animals?
why do I fuck with animals? Okay, so I would go to therapy and I'd be very shut down. And they'd be like, how are you? And I'd be like, I'm fine. I'm fine. But also I was poor. So when you go to a therapist and you're spending $200 on a therapist, you're like, I'm great. Do you agree? Because I need to get out of here.
Right. Yeah.
I can't
come
afford
back.
this. Yeah, I
Yeah.
really can't afford
It's
this.
crazy.
So can we wrap this up like now?
Yeah.
And I would go to therapist and be like, what books do I need to read? What do I need to do? And she was like, just tell me about how are you? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm good. I need to get successful and famous and rich. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I need. Because I also, in my brain, I was just like, I know I just need to pay my bills. I am so sick of being poor. And if I can pay my bills, then we can figure out what's wrong with me. Because I don't know what's just anxiety from being poor and what's like, brokenness from my childhood. So for me, therapy was not, working. And then, the backstory of the animal stuff is I was sent away from living with my parents and I lived on a farm with some aunts and people, I just didn't get it. I was diagnosed with everything from Asperger's to autism. I beat it to all kinds of stuff. But I think I was just very shut down. And I don't know. I'm saying I was very shut down. I was very traumatized. And so by the time I went and hung out on a farm with animals, I, would just lay in the pasture with horses. And it was the only time I didn't feel anxiety. It was the only time that I didn't feel stressed out or pressure to take care of the adults. I don't think parents realize how much they are asking their children to take care of their emotional needs. It just was the first time I didn't feel suffocated by other people's emotions and unclear communication. So it was a lot, my family was a lot of fake nice shit and a lot of like stuff under the rug. It was like there would be a family gathering like at Thanksgiving and everybody like hated each other, but it was a lot of like, can you pass the salt? And then the exploding doormats, the people that were like really, really nice. And then they would just be like, can you pass the salt? We're out of salt. Well, maybe if you didn't cheat on Lindsay. And it's like, wait, what? It was a lot of that shit where I was like, kids know when they feel the tension when adults are pretending to be nice to each other. Kids feel it. And then you just start questioning your own reality. You start going, I guess I'm crazy because you guys don't seem like you like each other, but you're pretending you do. And then I have to participate in this like shitty improv game with adults. Like you're adults. So I just like, I don't like adults. I don't understand. And I started just being like, I don't understand what's going on because I'm obviously crazy. And then when you're around horses, because they're prey animals and they're such, they have to be like energy economists. Like they're not going to waste energy being mad at each other for no reason. They don't do the shit that we do. They're not petty. They're very direct. And I just like really appreciated the clarity and communication. And I understood what was going on. Like I understood when horses were communicating with each other and I understood how to communicate with them. They're very direct. They're very clear. They're very fair. Horses also want you to be regal. They don't want you to be small. They need to know what because if you're scared of something, they're like, that's a mountain lion. Let's go.
Yeah, what the fuck's going on?
And then also conversely, if you're scared of things that aren't, don't mean anything to them because they only break everything down into serenity or fear, right? They don't have like jealousy or, oh, you're famous and you have a big podcast, so I guess I need to be nice to you. They don't know what any of that is. That just boils down to fear because ultimately, and that really helped me because I didn't realize how much fear I was living in because growing up in alcoholic home, I'm ostensibly fearless. I'm the person running into the dog fights. I'm the person running into the fire. I'm the person so we come off fearless, but at the end of the day, in social interactions like this, I'm full of fear, right? And like going up to a horse and you want to get a picture and you're kind of trying to get a picture with a horse. Like they think you're like sick. Like they want to get away from you because they don't understand why you'd be afraid of them. So that really helped me because I was having such a hard time understanding adult emotions. The adults that raised me, they didn't even understand their emotions. How could I? So grew up that way. That was the first time I had any serenity. So then I just always wanted to be around horses. It was the only time that I didn't feel crazy. And then when I, became an adult and it was sort of like, okay, I never spent money on purses or shoes, as you can tell by the way I dress, it's not my thing. And I started rescuing horses. It was the first thing I started doing. And I rescued this horse and I do equine therapy. And it's like, horses hold up a mirror to your inner monologue. I didn't even know I couldn't tell the difference between the voices in my head. Like, that's my mom, that's my dad, that's my inner child, that's my inner teen. Like, I wasn't able to hear any of them. They were all just screaming at each other. And horses, you just start with like being in an arena with a horse and just being with them. And just, I didn't even realize how much I couldn't even be still. I couldn't even be alone with myself.
Fuck.
Dude, I was so fidgety. I needed my phone. I needed a drink. I needed I was just so full of manic energy. And horses are just like hard pass on this nonsense. Like the first couple weeks was just me trying to like take deep breaths and earn the right and privilege to have a horse want to even be near me. But my energy was so repellent. And you have to understand the energy you're giving off because to your point about toxic relationships, like you're just going to attract that same frequency.
Right.
Predators are just like, she's weak, like that perfect, You're only as good as the people that you vibrate and that frequency you're putting out. Like when you're getting your internal needs met internally, all of a sudden narcissists want nothing to do with you.
Fuck, man.
It is so repellent to them. But when you're giving out needy energy and you want everything to like you, you are just a magnet.
Yeah.
For crazy people.
You said a couple of interesting things there, like especially with your child self, your teenage self, and your adult self, all yelling at each other at the same fucking time. That makes so much sense. I'm pretty new to therapy. I've been sober. This November will be 4 years, and that's fucking awesome.
That's awesome.
And a lot has changed. It's not a long time in sobriety because I've had to relearn, like you said, rewiring. I'm pretty new to rewiring all this shit. I'm learning how to be sad, learn how to have bad days, learn how to be excited, learn the biggest thing that came out of it so far. Like I have 2 children, one's 19, one's 9.
Amazing.
So the 19-year-old got the worst version of me, you know. The 9-year-old, she was really too young to even know that I was drinking a lot, but I was still there. I've always been in her life. But I went from having kids to being a father. And that is the biggest thing that's came out of my sobriety. And I could care less that I had kids before, but now my most favorite thing in the world is being a father. And I can't imagine not having that in my life. And they call me, they love me. Above all, they trust me. They trust me. I just thought about this the other day, the most pivotal moment as a father. I was newly sober, so I was still kind of on the edge. I'm white knuckle gripping, like just trying to stay sober. And you know, kids being kids, piss me off doing something stupid. I yell at my little girl and probably cuss her out, talk to her like she's a teenager. You know, what the fuck is wrong with you? Get the fuck out of my face. Go do something else, whatever. Then she starts like, this little girl can hold the most water in her eyes that you've ever seen without a tear falling. It'll just, look like I don't know what that is. Anyway, and I'm like, why are you fucking crying? Like, get out of here. And looking back, like just saying that out loud now, it just pierces my heart to think that I had that in me. And here's something wild that happened. A couple minutes go by. I'm like thinking about, kind of feeling shitty about myself. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm gonna check on her. I start walking towards the room, the light's off, but the bathroom light's on, and I see the light under the door. And I hear her voice. And I walk up to the door and it's kind of cracked. And my vision, what I see is the mirror. And so I'm looking at her, look at herself in the mirror, and she's crying and she's telling herself, why are you crying? Why? You gotta be tough. You gotta be strong. Don't let dad see you cry. And I was like, fuck. Like immediately that hit me. And I slowly opened the door so I didn't scare her. I said, baby, I'm so sorry. Can I talk to you? And she, and I took her and sat her down on the bed. And I just I couldn't help, but I was trying to talk without bawling. I was so hurt, but tears were coming down. I said, it's totally okay to cry. And I'm sorry. I was scary. I didn't mean that. And I recognize what it's doing to you, what it's done to you. And I won't do that again. And it took a little bit from that for her to truly trust me. Now she can drop a Scentsy that has wax all in it and make a mess. And she'll say, Dad, I made a mess. She doesn't come to me in panic and fear and tears.
It's but what you're saying is it's like for a man to share that is really dope. I mean, it's I think a lot of men and women, because I think women really need to hear this, because I think women go well, I'm the mom. I'm allowed to just yell at kids. But I'm a woman and we're oppressed. And I can yell, sometimes moms are scarier sometimes,
Fuck yeah.
My mom would cry too much, and I would go oh, you're making mom cry, you need to stop. Do you know what I mean? So it's a tricky line, right. And everyone's different. And but 2 things you're saying are fascinating to me. Number 1, you're teaching her if she makes a mistake, it's okay. Yeah. She can apologize.
Right.
You made a mistake and then went, I'm sorry, I made a mistake.
Yeah.
You can do that too. Something else really is kids really bring out where you're holding shame. That feeling of shame after, so it's what an opportunity to master all that. And then something else I was reading in a book, I think it's called Hunt, Gather, Parent, about how you always want to make sure your kids can tell you when they do something bad. You don't want to yell at them too much, because then they'll learn to keep secrets from you.
100%.
So then when they start drinking and smoke, you want them, my dad, for all the fucking ridiculous shit that he did. And he always said to me, if you drink, because he would buy us cigarettes and buy, he just didn't want to, it was more a laziness thing, but he was if you go drink or if you ever get in the car with someone who is drunk, he goes, you can always call me. You can be drunk, you can be high, I don't care. If you ask me to come pick you up, you'll be fine. But if you get in the car with someone who's drinking, you'll never leave the house again. So it's he always just was you always want your kid to come tell you and not worry that you're going to freak out.
Right, exactly. And that's where I'm at with with both of them now. And, I've had a long conversation with my youngest. That's a whole nother story, but we've patched things up, and now she calls me all the time. She comes over and stays with us all the time. She's going off to college now, doing her thing. But I've told her the same thing. no matter what you're out there doing, be honest with me, be honest with her, and we'll figure it all out. As long as we know the truth, we can get through all of it. So 100%. And as far as the little one, like I'm realizing now, like I want to help her become Wonder Woman. I don't want to be the reason she has to be.
No, I love that.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So those are like some big parenting moments that I've had in these 4 years of sobriety, and I got a long ways to go, but it's been cool.
But also being around horses. I mean, we're in Tulsa. Like, I know it sounds elitist, like me. I'm in Hollywood and I have a horse. It's like I rescued my horse. I paid $1 for him. Like, he's at a stable close by. Like, I don't even ride. It's not like but horses really help you realize your motives as well, and realize, be alone with yourself while also being able to, hear and witness your internal monologue, So I'll be with my horse. He'll go over to go sniff shit, just because that's what horses do. And I'm like, okay, so shit is more interesting than me. Got it. Like, I'm like, what was that? What was that? Like, do I just want my horse to be like just in my face? Like, but it's addiction 101. It's one too many, a million not enough. It's never enough. So the toxic relationships, the drinking, the smoking, the whatever it is, it's like, it's never going to be enough. What did I want? And I have to go like, what? I need to check my expectations here. I want this horse to just be like meeting my internal needs for me. That perfect. Calling Lord Michaels. We got to send that in. SNL, here we come. No, but I think it's like we have these insane expectations of people. This is where a lot of toxic relationships come in. So a lot of what codependence is being vague about your expectations or setting the bar so impossibly high so that you constantly re-victimize yourself and you feel like a victim at all times. Ooh. So when the people get out of relationships that are like, I know what happened. I just loved him too much.
Oh, yeah.
That's codependence 101. You know what I mean? That's setting traps for people is not loving them too much, So it's like if we had come in here and, I leave and I'm like, well, he didn't want a photo. I guess he hated me. I guess it didn't go well. Like, he didn't ask for a selfie. It's just some stupid thing I decided you didn't deliver to me so that I can just recreate the feeling of being rejected. Damn. If you're constantly disappointed, that's your fault. And that's something that I spent my whole life constantly being disappointed because that's what I grew up around. So I would recreate it. I would date people that couldn't show up for me. I would fall in love with people that only gave me crumbs. I'd be with people that were unavailable emotionally and physically because they were in some addiction, just to recreate that feeling, So I think it's been really powerful for me to go like, what old patterns am I recreating because they're familiar to me, and I'm comfortable in this discomfort. Rejection, it makes me comfortable. It helps me be alone. It helps me sort of fortify that notion of I'm not good enough. Of course, that's not why I got rejected from being on a sitcom. They wanted Margot Robbie. Like, I was never in the running, but I'm going to use this as an opportunity to beat myself up and self-flagellate. Like, that's my choice, So I think that it's like, and with what's going on Instagram, and part of the reason you're such a breath of fresh air to me is there's so much like bullshit, there wellness cult nonsense that's just like, if you don't build your dream, you're going to spend your life building someone else's. And there's these like 20-year-olds that won't like work because they're like, where's my book deal? And you're like, what do you know? You don't know anything, though. You're dumb. You don't know how to do anything. You know what I mean? Like, there's just a lot of like, if you don't love yourself, like, how are you? And it's like, well, no one tells you, well, how do you love I need higher self-esteem. All you do is take pictures of yourself. Like,
yeah, I need you to sack groceries for a little bit.
Yeah.
I need you to go fucking wait tables. I need you to do some shit.
What's up, you sexy, 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 sexy people out there? Make sure you're tapped in with us on the Instagram, Micheal_Janae. Lock in with us on TikTok, magic.mike.g. And if you want to get really sexy, send us an email at alwaysthehardwaypodcast@yahoo.com. You want to send an audio message? You want to talk to the champ? Hit us up. You want to send a video submission? You want to be seen? I might like to see you.
In order to build self-esteem, you have to engage in esteemable actions. What, you know what I mean? So that's the other thing is we're all like, how do I get my self-esteem? How do I get my self-esteem? It's not going to be by thinking about yourself all day. It's going to be doing things where you're actually going, go do some chores, go help your neighbor,
Yeah.
go be of service. That's like what, 12-step programs, like the key to staying sober is service, calling other people. How are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like this, I'm a piece of shit in the center of the universe mentality of I hate myself, but all I do is think about myself, So I think that there's also, when, I come on podcasts like yours that have big followings and people like obviously want to edify themselves and get better, but it's also like, you can't think about yourself all the time.
Right. And I made that mistake within these last 3 years. I wasn't on social media at all. And I just got sober. And she, in fact, was like, hey, you're newly sober. You're kind of walking this tightrope, white knuckle gripping. I think a lot of people say in the sober community. She's like, I play guitar, and she said, you used to play guitar a lot on Facebook live streams, and you really enjoyed that. Maybe you get back on social media and this is just another outlet, like a hobby for you. You can make videos, you can play guitar, and, maybe find some relief there. And it turned very quickly. I posted about my sobriety because all my music videos weren't doing shit. My little dances with my kids and doing shit with her, it wasn't really doing nothing. And then once I posted about my sobriety, not even thinking about it, boom, it caught off. And that was for the first time ever. I've heard you're not alone, right? When I got sober, I felt like no one knows what this feels like. That's how
right.
I felt.
I'm terminally unique.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No one knows. No one knows you haven't walked in my fucking shoes.
And this is the disease telling you isolate.
Yeah.
No one understands you. Don't reach out.
And then that was the first time because that was the first video of mine that ever went into the millions. And then you got all kinds of people from all over the world saying, hey, I'm trying to get there to where you're at now, or I've been there, hang on, or I'm going through this.
Awesome.
So that's the first time I was like, oh, that's what they mean. You're not alone. And then I started tapping into more addiction stuff and more mental health stuff. And then that became my thing, And that being said, now I'm this whole short form content of I spend a lot of money and gears. None of this shit's cheap. And then I was like doing videos, lightings in my face or my eyes popping, and I wanted to draw emotion from the people and it became like theatrical to me and I enjoyed it for a little bit, but now I'm like, dude, there's so much more to me than this short form content stuff. I want to have conversations like this.
And you don't have to choose either, you can sort of do what works for you and then also take contrary action, just go like, what, people really like these and I stopped doing them, but I can go be of service, by doing them, even if I don't like doing them anymore, even if they bore me, but I can do this to be of service.
You're right. You're right. And I appreciate you saying that.
Because it is, alcoholics are the only people that think they deserve to be having fun all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, well, this isn't fun. It's like, well, then I've recreated a new addiction here where it's like, I'll only do something if it's fun for me and if it serves me and if it's, so it's like, I love meeting people like you and seeing what you've done because, I think addiction is, and I am a scientist and I have been given degrees in sociology. I just I think this is true, even if I'm not qualified to say it. I think addiction is like the greatest issue of our time. I think what you're seeing on social media, politics, I think it's all addiction. It's all self-righteous indignation, adrenaline addiction. It's like we're addicted to politics. We're addicted to what Trump's going to do. We're addicted to fighting with each other. And we're addicted to the adrenaline of going into the comments. I see all of our social ills, to me, just feels like addiction, And I'm like, it's right there. Homelessness, all this stuff stems in addiction. But it's like we kind of don't really talk about it because, again, the internal drug cabinet is like something that's just like, it's not sexy. You can't really prove it. It's like drugs, alcohol, narcotics. I mean, look, we know that, the number one cause of death now in America is, pharmaceutical drugs,
yep.
Right? And then fentanyl crisis. It's like, I guess, actual drugs is killing a lot of people too. And, but I think it's something that is just like, there's just no way to talk about it enough.
Man, and with this whole social media thing, I kind of feel fucking part of the problem, being on there.
Yeah.
I'm adding more fentanyl to the water.
Yep. But you're also young. I think that a lot of people are trying to get sober young. I see a lot of people trying to quit porn. I see a lot of young people trying to get it together and we're the cycle breakers.
100%.
You know, both my parents had strokes at 60. I had to take care of them. My entire 28 to 38, I had to take care of my parents in nursing homes because they wouldn't stop drinking. They didn't go to the doctor. I mean, forget in America, it's very hard to go to the doctor, but they didn't take care of themselves. You know, they were just like stress cases that drank and ate, and then we had to pay for it. It's like your daughters don't deserve to have to take care of you in a nursing home because you're drinking yourself, you're numbing yourself, and for what? You know, and I think that like there's such an interesting like fascination right now in neuroscience and optimizing, and you know that can become its own addiction. But fine, I'm also fine with replace a negative addiction with a positive addiction. If you need to replace smoking crack with work, fine, as long as you're not hurting anybody, like go for it. You know, so I think that, you know, the shopping, keeping up with the Joneses, like comments. I mean, the same part of the brain is affected and flooded with dopamine when you're on social media looking at comments as gambling addicts when they're I mean, we're literally looking at a slot machine. It's the same thing.
It can't be healthy for me to see a Great Dane in a high chair eating meatballs to a crackhead shaking in the street.
Yeah.
To someone shooting an eagle flying through the sky, to a tiger eating someone's dick off.
Yeah.
Like there's so many emotions there.
There's so many emotions, and that's why I think it's on us to the same way that you know, are proactive about your recovery. Also, we have to be in what you put in your body. Obviously, and you take care of yourself. We have to be proactive about what we put in our.
Talk to me.
Let's go. Summer. She's like, what's good? So funny. We have to do it with our brains. So when I was pregnant, I did an unfollowing spree because I was just like, you know what? Like, I'm someone's mom now. Like, I don't get to follow the Kardashians. I don't get to follow. I'm old school. I'm like, I'll look at magazines at the grocery store and shit, but I'm not following a bunch of trash. Like, I'm just not.
Good for you.
I'm very, and then even when I'm around people, I turn my phone off because if you just said tiger dick, I'm like, now I'm gonna get tiger dick video. Quiet. Now I'm gonna get like a video where someone's cutting off a tiger's dick. Get out of here. So I have hardcore boundaries about that shit. Like if someone starts talking about something, I will like throw my phone. I'm like, do not say that around my phone.
That is real.
I don't want my Discover page being all crazy shit, dude. When people are like, the news is so toxic, I'm like, dude, check out my news is all like, it's like a raccoon and a coyote hunting together. It is like a golden retriever and an elephant live together on a farm. I was like, my news is amazing. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
That's her shit.
My algorithm, dude, is so dope. It is just like horses on beaches and like piglets, like, you know, snuggling with puppies. Like,
that's what we need.
But that's what you have to do that. Because again, I think that our brains are so lazy and they want to go, well, this is why I'm negative because this video. And we just want to blame everything because it's just easier. So for me, I really have to like, it is a full-time job to protect your algorithm and to protect what goes inside your brain. I mean, it is a full-time job. The same way we used to have to like, you know, protect ourselves against like lions on a daily, but now we have to literally just like protect ourselves against like YouTube videos and shit that our brain should not see.
No shit.
Because then we're in a constant state of fight or flight. You're in a constant state of like you know, you have 5 minutes before you go into an appointment and then you're just like, grrr, and then you're like, dude, totally. You just saw like Ukrainian refugees getting murdered. Like I just like, what is happening? Like
no
that
shit.
is not.
That's so real. Yeah.
Yeah, like we have to, I think, play constant defense against that shit now. Do you know what I mean? Why did everyone panic?
I do want to backtrack one second. Are you a scientist?
I thought you were going to say Scientologist. I'm not a scientist. I was totally joking.
Okay. Because you speak like you know some shit.
Like I'm...
Yeah, like you and Huberman hang out.
Whatever. No, he's a good... What was it? Go off? What did you say? What did you say?
I said you and Huberman...
No, but what did you say when I said you work out?
Oh, talk to me.
Talk to me. Huberman, talk to me.
Yeah, talk
to me. No, he's a good friend of mine.
Is he?
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. And when I do this shit with him, he's like, well, that's kind of true, but okay. And I'm like, okay, well.
You speak very well.
I'm right.
Yeah.
Thank you. No, I have, you know, I just say like I'm a scientist just because comedians, we've just decided that we're just know everything these days. But I'm also always happy to be wrong. But this is just, you know, what I know at the moment. Both my parents had strokes. I had to learn a lot about neuroscience very, very quickly. I had really bad migraines for a long time. So you just end up learning a lot. And then I made that movie about neuroscience because I got so obsessed with the fact that like women, we make dopamine when we gossip. When we gossip, we're on drugs. drugs.
Fuck.
Do you know what I mean? The same way that cannot, like VR, I cannot come fast enough because I was like, whatever it is, I just want to feel what it's like for a guy to have an orgasm because I just have to know how you guys throw away your entire lives for one dumb whore. For what? I'm like, I have to know. You guys will follow your dicks off a cliff. And I'm like, it must not feel the same as, there must be something else going on. The same way it's just like, why do you two have to gossip about Mindy's wedding for 2.5 hours? I'm like, cause I'm on drugs. It's drugs. You know, I had to do 30 days no gossip. I have a no gossip thing. It's so hard. That's a big one. Because what it is ultimately is judgment, and you're getting a hit of self-righteous indignation, and it's a way to superficially inflate your self-esteem just by comparison and being negative about someone else. You know what I mean? So that's like, there's just these little things that kind of sneak up on you. But when you realize the biological basis for like, you know, gossip was designed in order to like share social mores so you avoid being ostracized from the tribe, you know, like Lindsay's wearing that short skirt, like, that's how
You don't fuck with Lindsay.
That was Mindy before, but I do always say Lindsay. I really do.
She's been catching all the bullets.
A problem.
She's a
Lindsay's always the bitch that wears white to the wedding. And
is that the one that lives in Tulsa?
Huh? No. No. It's like, no.
Where we at?
I do. I always say Lindsay for just like a random girl. I don't know why. Sorry, Lindsay's. Love you guys. But like, I think it's to learn about neuroscience helps you have compassion for your own kind of like most base reactions to things, you know?
Yeah. It's so crazy because we were scrounging around, you know, setting all this shit up. And I was sitting out there on those steps and I was looking around. I was like, fuck, we're really fixing to do this. I felt great all day. And you mentioned earlier, like you said something about fear of this. I can't remember exactly what you said.
Yeah.
It was started to sink in when I was down there on the steps. I was like, fuck. Whitney's not gonna like me, and you know I'm not worth her time. And I just really started having this. Now, do I shake her hand? Do I give her a hug? You know, I'm in my fucking head, and like this is gonna be terrible. Like,
but you know what? But I love that you're sharing that. Like, first of all, if I didn't like you, like, what's gonna happen? Like, who cares?
Yeah, I mean, this would be awkward, but
like, who cares? No, but I mean, like, I'm gonna do it. I would just embarrass myself. You know what I mean? But then if like I don't, like, who cares? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, right.
It's like I like to play it out. You know, my sponsor will play it out with me because I'm like, and then what if it doesn't? We don't get along, and it's like, okay, do you need more friends? Do you have time for more friends?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And it's like, and this is what you know, Prey Animals taught me is that people only like you as much as you like yourself. Like, period. Like, I'm going to take my cues from you. You know what I mean? When someone's like, hey, sorry, I don't know. And you're just like, figure that out. You know, like, why is it my job to make you like yourself right now? Like, why is that on me? You know what I mean? You let me call your dad, work it out.
Yeah, right.
And circle back. And, you know, so that's always been my thing. I didn't realize how much I was putting pressure on other people to validate me. And I'd be like, I don't like myself, so I need you to like me so that I feel better, you know?
Yeah.
So, but there's also some of that is just being good at your job. I mean, that's the other thing is that we should also, I'm going to go on stage tonight and be like, you shouldn't have said that. You should have landed the joke this way. Like, that's good. That has helped me, you know? So I think that sometimes these like negative thoughts, you know, everyone's like, get rid of your inner critic. It's like, okay, well,
fucking
you have
Lindsay voice.
You have 7 roommates. Like, maybe you need a stronger inner critic. Maybe you need it. You know what I mean? So sometimes an inner critic is there to help you. Sometimes it's sabotaging you, like in our case, you know? So it's like, I think that our brains are only wired to survive, and some of those thoughts are natural. You just got to like, I just like to reduce the loop of like, okay, if he doesn't like me, fine. But I can't totally control that at this point. You know what I mean? And
I do like you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll fix that. And then what was the other thing? What if Whitney doesn't like me? Do I shake her hand? This is the other thing. Is that when I do that, when I'm like, oh my God, what if he doesn't like the shirt that I wore and then I look stupid or something? And I'm like, if he gives a fuck,
he's not my people.
I don't like him. He's not my
Yeah,
people.
not my people.
So I just feel like the more authentic we are, the more likely we're going to attract our people, because I spent so much time putting out what I thought people wanted me to be. And then I didn't like anybody that was around me.
Yeah. The more we can be ourselves, the more people that are looking for you can find you. If you are being you, the people looking for you will find you. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Fuck yeah.
I don't know. I'm just being authentic over here. Do you know what I mean? And then it gives other people permission to be authentic. Like, I've really had to, one of my like 30-day challenges was no emails can be longer than 2 sentences.
Damn.
I still do that because my sponsor is always like, more after 2 sentences, you're either manipulating or apologizing. It's so hard to be succinct. It's
Damn.
so hard. And then after a text chain is done, to stop texting. You know what I mean? You know,
Yeah.
it's like, cool, thanks. And it's all right, thanks. See you soon. It's like, cool. What do you want to do? It's like, we did it. It's over.
Yeah.
It's over. And like literally, like I will have dinner with someone, and as I'm leaving, the person will be like, you know, we should hang soon. I'm like, didn't we just do it? No.
I was thinking that when we were texting, I was like, fuck, I don't know, Whitney's, you know.
Dude, I was like, he's very smart. He will find me.
Yeah.
He will figure it out, you know?
Yeah.
And so I know you're communicating with someone else.
Yeah.
It was hard for me too, because I was like, I need to follow up with him. And I was like, no, I'm not his mom. He's got a girl
Yep.
who put him back together. We'll find each other,
Yeah.
you know? Because what we're doing when we're trying to caretake other people's feelings is we're actually saying, you're too dumb to figure this out on your own. You need me. You know?
Yeah.
And so I find that I do that with texting sometimes, or going, you're too fragile. You're going to feel rejected if I don't text you back. You know when text chains just never end? It's just like two codependent people that
Yeah.
it's like, thank you, love you, good to see you, heart, thumbs up. And it's just like, when is this going to stop? What do we do? How do I get out of this?
I love your brain,
I
man.
can't get out of this.
I love your
This
brain.
is a nightmare. Love you more. Like, gif. Like,
Yeah.
gif. Jesus, man. Get
I almost sent you
away
the
from
fucking
me.
Dave Chappelle gif with him dunking the basketball today.
But it's good to, I think, like, I just try to slow down and go, what am I doing? I'm going to see you today at 6:00, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm all for confirming things, but I'm going, you're too dumb to remember. You can't just scroll up. Like, what am I saying under what I'm saying? What's the subtext of what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And like, to me, a big thing that I had to do is stop giving gifts. You know, I was a big gifter because I just never thought that I was enough. And I never thought people like knew how grateful I was. So I would send, so now I'll like show up, like I just did Chris Williamson's podcast, and I brought him this thing that I just wanted him to have, because he's a pal. But I was like, am I trying to manipulate him? Am I trying to make him think I'm a good person? Am I trying to make him like remember me or like think about
Right.
me, or do I not think I'm enough? Because some, you know, like, do I want him to owe me? Like, I have to just go through those a little bit.
I know. Yeah. Gifting's a weird one. And I'm glad you said that because we got you a gift. So
Thank God. By the way, thank God.
because
Thank
I'm not
God.
enough, I had to get you
Thank God.
something.
No,
So-
but like there's you just go through it, you know, but you know,
Right.
a lot of people will score keep, you know what I mean? A lot, and this used to be something that I would do to re-victimize myself. It'd be like, you know, Lindsay didn't come to my birthday.
you,
Yeah, I know. I'm so sorry. Lindsay, if you are the number one fan of this podcast, I am. But it's just
She
looking at-
sponsors this.
it's looking at I think it's just looking at your motives, you know what I mean? Looking at your like I
Right.
had to make sure with this, is this a clean motive?
Yeah.
Because like you asked me and I just said yes, you know, and it's like,
Which
wait,
is so fucking cool of you.
but I had
hope-
to vet it. I
Yeah.
had to go like, okay, I'm doing this to be of service.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there. And like this,
Right.
I want to learn from him. Like he's interesting to me. Like I remember when I started podcast, like you just need guests,
Yeah,
dude.
right.
You know?
Yeah. And you're
what we-
fucking awesome.
I have a son now. What we need is
know.
more men like you talking about your feelings.
Right.
You
Let's
know?
fucking go.
I mean, Dak Shepard says he's insecure and he just gets $80 million. I say I'm insecure and I'm annoying.
Fuck. Dax. Let me sit on his fucking chair one time.
That's what I'm saying. So like we need men that you know, look like you and also look like you. Sorry, I got to say it.
Yeah, I mean, I had to shave because I had lice, but
Bye.
ladies and gentlemen, Whitney motherfucking Cummings. Hey man, real,
So next time someone asks me to their podcast, I'm like, yo, do you have lice or not? Like,
not here.
what, on your face? You had face
Whitney,
lice?
you're fucking awesome. You got a show to do.
I know.
All right.
Congratulations. Hopefully I wasn't too rambling.
Hey guys, thanks for watching Always the Hard Way. Thank you guys for being here with us. And once again, lock in with us on all social medias, Instagram, Micheal_Janae, TikTok, magic.mike.g, and YouTube, Always the Hard Way podcast with Micheal Janae.